this video, I'm going to offer some tips to elevate your bare bottom reef tank. Everyone likes the look of a pure white sand bed, but sand beds may not always be the best option for every tank. Bare bottom tanks are great for those needing high flow and those who want a low maintenance tank. There's no denying that tanks that can keep a clean sand bed look way better than a bare bottom tank, but over time, if left unchecked, sand beds can grow diatoms and dinoflagellates, which in my opinion, look way worse than a bare bottom tank. Keeping a reef tank with a sand bed is not for everyone. So those that run a bare bottom tank, in this video, I'm going to show you how to elevate your tank to be even more kick-ass. One of the main reasons why people choose to go bare bottom is that they can run a lot of flow. I designed this tank to have a Tunzi Stream 3 behind this rock that flows all the way across the back wall. That way, no detritus builds up on the back wall. Most of the detritus in the tank ends up right there, which is easy enough to suck out when I do my water changes. There is the Stream 3 on the back. As you can see, this one pump can push water all the way down the back of this 5-foot tank and still create some pretty nice flow on the opposite end. I love the Stream 3 after using it for about 6 months. It's super powerful. It's not very pretty and it's quite large, but you can easily hide it behind your rock work. You can see how clean the bottom glass is right there. It has a 5-year warranty, which is one of the reasons why I bought it. Plus, even Tunzi says that you only have to maintain it or clean it once a year. Because I have so much flow in my display tank and have all that flow on the bottom of the tank, most of my detritus ends up in my sump right here, which makes it really easy to suck out when I do my water changes. Most of what does settle out of my display tank ends up being larger particle sizes like sand and broken off coral skeletons, and it usually ends up in one spot, which makes it really easy to clean up when I do a water change. Without the extra support of sand, running a bare bottom tank can often increase the likelihood of a rock collapse. These Ocean Wonders frag rocks can be a bare bottom keeper's best friend. I use them to support rock structures on the ground that have limited points of contact with the ground. They have a flat bottom, so when you put them on the ground, they can make a less than stable rock more stable. I'll also use them to kind of create pillars on frag discs that I have on the bottom of the tank. Not only does this make it look a little nicer, but it also allows water to flow underneath the disc and prevent detritus buildup. For most people, the whole idea of a bare bottom tank is to keep detritus off the bottom of the tank. So allowing water to flow under the rock while keeping them stable can really increase the amount of detritus removal. Here's an instance where this rock here only has 2 points of contact with the ground, and it's kind of leaning up against another rock. There's 2 knobs here, which are not touching the ground but are close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Ocean Wonders frag rock, put a little glue, super glue here, some epoxy here, a little more super glue, and then I'm going to wedge that under one of those knobs to give it a little more support. I added support to both protrusions, and once the glue cures, it'll be solid and it'll be less likely to wobble if I mess with the corals on it or try to frag any of the acros. After a few weeks, it'll be covered in coralline algae and you won't be able to distinguish them from the rock. These Stax rocks from Two Little Fishies are great for bare bottom tanks as well. They can be attached to the bottom of other rocks that you use in your aquascape, but I like to use them as coral platforms that set on the bottom of the glass. They do accumulate a little bit of detritus, which can be sucked out by moving them from time to time, but they do create a lot of contact surface area with the glass, so they can create a pretty stable aquascape. Here's an example of a Holy Grail Micromussa colony that I have growing over a Stax rock, but it's collecting gunk and I'm tired of moving it to get all that gunk out. So I'm going to put some little feet on it to lift it off the glass. That will prevent detritus accumulation. I fracked some zoanthids last night that are on grout discs, and I saved the little pieces. So I'm going to arrange these, put glue on them, set this on top, so then it will not stick too far off the ground, but enough to where water can flow underneath it and possibly prevent some detritus from building up. Set that on there. Give it a wiggle. And then I'm going to give that about 30 seconds and then I'll put it back. So here's the Holy Grail Micromussa with the little feet added. Simple little trick will allow the water just to kind of keep going and prevent detritus from building up. I swear this is not an advertisement for these frag rocks, but another nice little added bonus is they're kind of wedge shaped. So when I cut the green slimer colony off the previous rock and glued it to this one, I was able to use it as a wedge to like prop it up with the glue. You can kind of see it there, and to hold that into place. I always keep some of these on hand just because they're great to bridge rocks or create more stable bottoms. For this video's coral highlight, I want to talk about the Goldenrod Acropora. So I got this frag from Moki, the inappropriate reefer. He's somewhat local to me in the DC metro area, so he was nice enough to drop off a frag of this. And so when I got it, it was nice and colored up like this. And if you're familiar with the inappropriate reefer's tank, it's very prominent in his tank, so it's a really nice color. But being gold, I figured it was like a gold Acropora that usually like a high amount of light. So I put it up at the top of my tank, and while it kept growing, it started to turn very, very light and almost white. So then, as I was looking into it, I read that they actually don't like a whole lot of light compared to other Acropora. So I moved it down a lot lower, and it took about a month or two to color up. But once it started coloring up, it colored up in like a week or two, and then started growing rapidly. The one downside to an Acropora is they don't really encrust. So if you like bump it, the chances are that you're gonna have to re-glue it a few times. You can see down here that I have a few layers of epoxy where I've had to re-glue it down. If you can find a piece of it, I say get it. It's just as colorful in real life as it is in all these videos. That is this week's coral highlight. Hopefully these tips can come in handy for those of you that run bare bottom tanks. Comment below if there's any other tips or tricks with bare bottom tanks to make it even more awesome. And thanks for watching.